Imagine you are being taken down closer and closer to a swirling, deadly sea of 28-degree waters. Imagine you are being stuck in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean with hundreds of people all around you, flailing and screaming and waving their arms trying to get help, and not knowing what to do. This is exactly what happened to hundreds of people on the morning of April 15th, 1912, when the Titanic sank in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Although this happened 100 years ago, it is still affecting us today. Maybe?
Try the mouse. And you can click on that little arrow.
After 3 years of hard work and hundreds of workers, the Titanic was completed on April the 10th, 1912. It was 882.5 feet long, 92.5 feet wide, and 175 feet high. This is bigger than anyone had ever seen before. Finally, on April the 10th, 1912, the Titanic was ready to set sail. It left from Southampton, England, and stopped in Cherbourg, France, and Queenstown, Ireland to unload and load passengers. Finally, on April the 11th, 1912, it set sail for New York for the last time, with 2,240 passengers. The first 4 days were really calm at sea. However, they had no clue what was about to happen to them in the next few hours. At 11:40 p.m., watchmen from a high tower spotted an iceberg directly in the path of the ship. They signaled for the captain and officers to reverse the engines and hang a sharp left to miss the iceberg. This is exactly what happened. However, it didn't miss the iceberg completely. The iceberg grazed the side of the hull and flooded 5 compartments of the ship. The Titanic sank exactly 2 hours and 40 minutes later. There were 16 lifeboats on the ship. They then were filled with passengers and scared crew members. As was the law at the time, women and children were put on first, with a few men managing to get on as well. The first boat could hold a total of 65 people, but it was only filled to 28. This underfilling continued for all 16 boats, which meant that a lot of people were stranded on the ship. With all lifeboats filled to their maximum capacity, a total of 1,178 people could have been saved that day. However, only 705 were saved from the ship. This meant that 1,517 died on April the 15th, 1912. After the ship had completely sank at 2:20 a.m., the lifeboats were stranded in the middle of the ocean. However, out of the 16 boats in the water, only 1 went back to save people that were stranded in the deadly waters. If many more lives would have been saved if more had gone back to fill to their maximum capacity. With nothing else to do, the lifeboats were in search of another ship to take them safely back. They eventually came upon the Carpathian, which took the survivors in and took them to New York. An interesting fact, however, is that there was another ship that was closer at the time. The Californian was closer when the Titanic sank than when the Carpathian found them. However, because of miscommunication, they didn't get the calls in time and were too far away to help. Looking back, scientists have found many interesting facts about that day. One is that the watchmen had 37 seconds from the time they spotted the iceberg to the time it hit the Titanic. With not a lot of time, it is surprising that the Titanic did almost miss the iceberg completely. Another thing is that according to History.com, the boats that went back after the sinking found 328 bodies that had perished. However, they had to bury 119 of them at sea because they were too badly damaged. Another interesting fact is that with all the many people that were scrambling to get on lifeboats, 2 dogs managed to be rescued. It amazes me that this one night saw so much fear, tragedy, and death. However, there was a lot of instances of courage and bravery in the midst of the chaos. The RMS Titanic was the largest movable object ever made, and it proved everyone wrong when it did the unthinkable and sank on April 15, 1912. Many lives were lost, but the lives that lived were changed forever. Many things about that night make me think about what we would have done differently if we were in that situation. My hope is that we can take what we've learned from this tragic event and learn from it. Hopefully in the future it can be avoided.